What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle.
I'm Annie.
And this is Richard Family Productions. I want to thank everybody first and foremost for taking their time to watch our videos. But we wanted to do a quick recap on our Alaska cruise on board the Ovation of the Seas the first week of June. I mean, starting with our travel day out there, something that maybe we would have done differently, something we will do differently, is to have functional luggage for the trip. And then one thing I'm glad we did was just to be prepared. We ended up having our flight delayed. I think it was like 4 hours, 5 hours?
4.5 probably.
4.5. So luckily we had some games to play while we were hanging out and waiting. That made it bearable.
So one thing I realized on board is that it's a lot more casual versus a Caribbean cruise. So like no one's really dressing up for dinner every night. So I brought outfits for dinner every single night and I didn't need to pack that much. Like honestly, you'd see people in sweats more than you would see people dressed up. So.
It was cool though, because at the airport when they weighed Annie's bag, we ended up getting our name engraved on a plaque and had the annual high score.
You're so funny.
Okay, so moving on to boarding. One thing that we found out, or I found out, Annie knew beforehand, if you take a cab to the Port of Seattle, they'll drop you off a whole lot closer than an Uber is able to get. So that's definitely something I would recommend and consider doing next time. If you do take an Uber though, it's not unbearable, you just gotta walk a little bit.
No, it wasn't too far. So getting to the Seattle terminal is pretty easy, but once you get there, it's a little overwhelming. So they have 2 ships in there at once, and the only way to tell which line to get into is to look at the screen above each line. So we didn't see that at first, and Kyle went to get into the Celebrity Solstice line, but we needed the Ovation line. So that's just something to look for when you get there right away.
I thought I saw my friends on the Celebrity, so, you know. No, I was just confused. But the other thing that wasn't very clear is what to do with our luggage. We ended up getting in line with our bags, and then one of the port workers was kind enough to take them under the rope and get them where they needed to go. So that's the main thing. Just kind of pay attention when you're walking up. It's clear if you know what you're looking for, but otherwise the signage is lacking. The other thing I'd like to mention regarding the first day on the ship is to take advantage of things like the Flow Rider, iFly if you can, just because they're not typically as busy on the first day. That's something I wish I would have done. The line for the Flow Rider can get pretty long, and it does get pretty cold on an Alaska cruise.
Yeah, I had to ditch Kyle and go change while he was waiting in line because I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and she made it all the way back to the room, changed, came back, and I think I had moved about 2 positions in line. So
yeah,
definitely take advantage of that while you can. All right, so regarding day 2, one thing that I recommend to everybody is the silent disco. Always go to the silent disco. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was really fun. The only thing I will say is brush up on your line dances before you get on board, because we were ruining everybody else's time.
Yeah, just doing the pinball, you know, bing, 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 bouncing off everybody because we don't know which way to step.
Yeah, so just YouTube it before you go, just freshen up on them. Okay, so that leads us to day 3. We had a hard time getting into the Windjammer that morning. It was really crowded because everybody was wanting to get ready to get off the ship. So I would suggest checking out some of the other options, like the main dining room or Solarium Bistro or somewhere like that would be a better option.
Yeah, if you've watched our videos, one term you'll notice a lot is Windjammer madness.
Yeah.
It gets a little crazy.
Yeah, and that goes for boarding day as well. We did go to the Windjammer just because that's kind of like our tradition to do that, but I think it would have been a better option to go elsewhere on the first day.
Yeah, definitely. One thing, once we got into Sitka, that I wish we would have considered was renting some e-bikes. You can just cover a whole lot more ground. I believe you can hop on them at the port and ride them into town, so you get a little bit of freedom and flexibility that way. Plus, I've never ridden an e-bike, so I think that would be a fun way to experience them.
Yeah, it is a lot of walking to get to like all the pretty scenery and the forest and everything, it probably took at least a half hour just to get to the forest.
Yeah, walking
But
from
we walk really slow. So.
yeah, one side of Sitka to the other, it was about a half hour, but we do move kind of slow. So if you're used to that kind of distance, or you're any kind of runner or anything, it shouldn't be a big deal, but definitely a consideration you want to make. And then the last thing that blew me away in Sitka was the scenery on the way in, and then how much fun we had for the sail away. We were just on the top deck taking in all the scenery, and it was gorgeous. The weather was beautiful, a few clouds in the sky, but it was a nice warm day, and we were able to experience a scenery like we had never seen before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sitka was really cool. We keep saying we want to move there. It's just like very chill.
Yeah.
Nice.
Definitely felt like we were at home.
Yeah.
So day 4, we were in Skagway. This was an amazing day. I think the biggest tip I can offer anybody is to take the train.
Take the train.
I think we did the White Pass
Yeah.
Railway. And it was like 3 or 3.5 hours, decent excursion, but the scenery and the experience riding on a train through the mountain, that really was unlike anything we had ever experienced before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really cool. If you're afraid of heights, it does get a little scary, but it's not too bad.
No, it wasn't too hateful. Prepared us for our North Star ride a little bit later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, if you haven't seen any of the rest of our videos, go and check out the Skagway video just to see the film from the train ride. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the other tip that I can offer is just to be prepared for the rain. You are going to Alaska. You don't have to do anything over the top. We just had rain jackets with us and an umbrella. That way, if it does sprinkle, it doesn't put a damper on your day. Skagway's a really cool town. Kind of has the, last frontier theme going on, the way that everything's styled, the buildings and everything. So definitely carve out some time in your day to walk around town. We had a lot of fun at the brewery, get some local food, some local beer, and get to take in some of the culture there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a, was it Spruce Tip beer?
Yeah, Spruce Tip Blonde.
It was really good.
Very good.
I think that's kind of what they're known for there.
Yep, their signature. And then the other thing that was really fun, when we were in port at Skagway, we did the North Star experience. Mm-hmm. We both were a little bit, let's say, nervous to get on the North Star, because you are 300 feet in the air when that thing's all the way at the top, but it really wasn't scary. It was a cool experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did the free one, so it was probably like 15 minutes total. So they don't take you out over the water when you do the free one, but you get to go up and see everything. And like doing it in port was really cool to be able to see the town and everything. We also did it in the rain, so that was cool, but also a little scarier.
Yeah, and you lose some visibility that way, but it was still a really neat experience. You could see the mountains, off in the distance, as well as a kind of a bird's eye view of Skagway.
Yeah. And I would recommend booking that as soon as you get on board, or even in the port. If you're waiting in line, you can connect to the Wi-Fi, just because we were able to get a spot, but there weren't many left. And we booked it while we were eating lunch right after we got on board. So.
Yeah, that one fills up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so day 5, we were sailing the Endicott Arm and ended up in Juneau. I can say it's definitely worth your while to wake up early to experience the Endicott Arm. To be on such a large vessel that's heading down such a narrow passage, it's a unique experience, and the landscape's just beautiful. The conditions of the water, the ice that was there, we weren't able to make it all the way down to Dawes Glacier, but it's still a beautiful experience and something that's worth your time to experience.
Yeah, I didn't wake up for it. I had exhausted myself by this point in the trip, so I slept through that. Typical.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. The other thing, Juneau is a busy town. As I'm sure you know, it's the capital of Alaska. there's a lot going on there, so definitely take some time to strategize beforehand what you want to see, what you want to do. You can check out our video of our trip to Juneau. We went and saw the Mendenhall Glacier, Nugget Falls, all of that in the Tongass National Forest, which that was definitely worthwhile. Wish we would have planned ahead as far as a shuttle, because it was a little bit pricey.
It was, yeah. And there's a lot of options once you get to the port. Like, we were worried because we weren't able to book one ahead of time because they were all sold out, but once you get off, there's like all these stands that you can pick from, so you could just pick one and go for it. I don't know, it might have cost the same to book it ahead of time. I really don't know.
Yeah, and that may just be the cost of a shuttle in Juneau.
But you'll definitely be able to get one if you want one.
Yes, there's plenty of them available if you don't plan ahead.
Day 6 was a rough one. I don't even really remember what we did when we first woke up that day. I think a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, it took us a while to get up.
Yeah, it was rough. Like, I've never got seasick before, and I've been doing cruises like my whole life, and it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I had us feeling a little bit queasy. Thankfully, neither one of us got sick, but
yeah, it was pretty close at a couple of points.
Yeah.
I would recommend bringing some Dramamine. I think we just had like the one that's pretty much basically just like a ginger pill, but it seemed to help a lot.
Yeah, it did help knock the edge off. And that was probably the roughest waters. I know it's the roughest waters I've ever sailed in, but definitely what we've experienced together. So just be prepared for that. It's nothing that would stop me from taking an Alaska cruise again, but something that I wish I was aware of beforehand maybe, or could have planned a little bit better. And it really worked out for us. We had seen so much and done so much, been so excited for the prior 5 days, 6 days, that it was nice to use a sea day just to rest up and get kind of reacclimated.
Yeah, I had caught a cold at that point, so it was nice to rest.
Yeah. Day 7 was Victoria. That is probably the biggest one for me. I wish I would have planned a little bit more, even if it was just to have a shuttle into town or known better where to get on a shuttle to get into town. We took off in the rain walking
the wrong way and then turned around and walked the other wrong way.
Yeah, so we got a little spun around there at first and then ended up just walking through the park there close to the port and turn around, heading back with wet feet.
Yeah, I think it would have been like a half-hour walk maybe to get into Victoria, so we just didn't feel like doing that.
No, we
not in the rain.
Yeah, not to do that. So we got back on board the Ovation. Still had a wonderful day, but you know, who knows the next time we'll be in Victoria. So I wish we could have experienced a little more.
Yeah, so we were only there from 5 to 10 p.m. So it would have been cool to like go get dinner or something, but that's okay.
Yep. Overall, we had a great time on our Alaska cruise. The Ovation is a wonderful ship. The food was good. I don't know I'd necessarily say great, but it was always consistent. Service was top notch, except for maybe one night the waiter forgot Annie's drink.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had ordered a Diet Coke on the very first night, and he forgot to bring it to me, and then we asked again, and he forgot, which is okay, like, I don't blame him, but it was just really funny because we went back to the dining room on the last night and got him as our waiter again, and he immediately brought it to me, so that was really funny.
Like waiting with a Diet Coke. Annie, how you been? Yeah. I mentioned it before, but again, the Windjammer gets a little bit crazy, so consider, you know, like the Solarium Bistro is a great alternative for breakfast and lunch. Main dining room, that sort of thing.
The crew was amazing as always. The ship was spotless. Like, it was crazy. You would walk into like the public restrooms and it would just be like completely perfect. Like, there's nothing really to worry about cleanliness wise.
Very well kept. And we even had one instance on day 6, the winds were so strong, our balcony partition broke. And before we even called anybody, somebody was knocking on our door to check on the partition and sent medium. They sent maintenance out.
A medium to figure out why it was happening.
I'm sensing some wind.
You just spit all over the table. Anywho,
she sent maintenance out immediately. They made the repairs in 10 or 15 minutes and we went on about our day. But I was impressed with how quick they responded to the situation. And last but not least, entertainment was great, readily available. We really enjoyed the Switched On band, and anybody in the music hall for that matter. Karaoke was fun. It's a nice venue to hang out in.
Yeah, and Pixels was really good.
Pixels was good. Just neat to see everything come together in 270. And then the itinerary was phenomenal. To get on in Seattle, a place neither of us had ever been, head up to Sitka, Skagway, Juneau, Victoria, and land back in Seattle. Just a wonderful trip. Go cruise Alaska.
Yeah.
Cut. Hey, we just want to say thanks again for watching. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure to check out the rest of the series. If you're considering an Alaska cruise, we hope that these videos offer you some insight on what you might expect. We hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. We've got plenty of content coming soon. We've been able to take some exciting trips this year, and, well, quite frankly, we just love doing this. We appreciate all the support. We'll see you soon.